So I am almost positive that at this point the kids are going to be on their way back.
Tell them. Well, how big
I'm
is the
gonna have
oldest
to,
one?
like,
18.
give them money and send them to Chuck E. Cheese or something like.
Yeah.
They're at the park, so I know at this point.
Oh yeah, they're tired.
It's hot.
It's hot.
We got time for all this.
Yeah, they're gonna have to go to the mall or something.
Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe you'll run around and get
Yeah,
tired
like
at
just
the
go walk
mall.
around the mall.
Okay, that's a good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna text them that.
Do your kids know that you're young? I always think that.
It's crazy, right? So
Are they aware that
even though
you're
I
young
am
too?
young, it still feels like
Their dad.
I'm still like their dad. Like I try to especially my oldest, I try to let him know, yo, you do realize that I was just going through all this stuff.
No, like I'm young.
That you were going through, right? Like, you do realize I'm not 60, right? You don't have an old dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I try to explain some stuff to him.
And I'm I don't know if they can tell, right?
Or does it even matter to them at that
exactly.
point? You know what I mean? Because
are they aware that
the toughest thing is I'll tell them something and then they'll go to their friends and the friends will say something different and then they'll come and find out that no, what I said was actually what I said. Yeah, because your friends are dumb and I'm still young, but I'm not dumb anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an adult.
Right? I am an adult.
Just not an old man.
Right.
There's a big difference.
Big difference. Welcome back to the Imagination Upgraded podcast. It has been a very long time. I have not done a podcast in so long.
Do it.
Since the pandemic, it seems like.
But are you getting back into the mix of content creation and podcasts? And
I
stuff
feel like I'm getting back into the mix of it, and I feel like I never left it purposely, but because of where the world went, how everything shut down, it was kind of struggle mode. Let me figure this out. What do I need to do? I know a lot of people got more into content creation, which was great.
I think it was a mix. I think if you weren't doing it, you actually got into it. If you were doing it, you were like, okay, now what is
I need to find
or I need to take a break. I need to see this a little differently. Because then the pool got really crowded.
The pool got very crowded. It was so many people, and it was all right, let me see what else.
What else is there? Or what can I expand to? I knew a lot of the lifestyle content creators that I knew. Their focus became making that content for the brand versus themselves. I don't need to post this. I'm making it for other people.
Right.
Just everybody I knew. Or it's if you had a podcast, but you're already a content creator, you were like, I'm not doing video.
Exactly.
It's a pod.
People want to do just audio, and it actually has to be video.
Yeah.
And I think you and I, we had a lot of conversations during the pandemic kind of about trying to figure out what to do with our content creation.
Because it's hard.
It was very hard. And I think one of the things that took me out of it, outside of obviously just figuring out, trying to get clients and do some work and keep money coming and take care of the family, I was trying to figure out how to get to brands. And I think that took me away from what I actually wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because then I started trying to change my content to how can I make this for this brand or brand specific, instead of let me make this and then whatever brand aligns with what I'm doing, let them come.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a lot of conversations about that because I think you do that great.
I do a lot of branded content, but I also realize that it shifts constantly. And so that's why it's hard to make it your focus.
Yeah.
As weird as that is, it's something you got to know that you want to do, but it's also got to be seamlessly just within your own content schedule. Just because I've had years where I could have a marketing agency reaching out to me so consistently for branded work that you're this is amazing. And then the next year, they themselves don't even have the gig like that.
Right.
And so you don't have the same brand partnerships coming as frequently. And so it just kind of, it shifts. I found last year I was doing a lot of network stuff. So if a new show was coming out, they were reaching out to influencers to make content. This year I haven't had as much of that. I've had more aligned with beauty stuff, which has been really good for me in general, but it changes so frequently that I find my focus becomes more on just what do I actually want to make?
Mm-hmm.
What do I like doing? And I see my friends kind of in the same space that like they'll have a time where they're like, okay, I'm doing all my brand stuff. And then they may be like, no, I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is for a brand. So now I don't even know what I actually want to talk about. And but it's like a blessed space to get into when you can get brand partnerships. But I always tell people it's like the focus should be really what is my brand.
Exactly.
Only because they themselves don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've had brand partnerships come to me before where it started as one thing and then like 2 weeks go by, you don't hear from them, and then they come back to you and they're like, oh, we're changing the direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then even when you send what you've made, they got like 5 different edits.
Yep.
And you're like, why didn't you guys just tell me that in the beginning, that that's the language or that's what you wanted? And it's because they themselves don't even know.
They have no idea.
How, or I always love when I get something.
They're looking at you, honestly.
Yeah, they're like, you tell me what it should be.
And then I'm gonna act like it was mine.
Yeah, basically.
Like, that's exactly. That's what I told her.
I've gotten ones before where the language that they want said is so scientific that you're like, hey, nobody would say this. Like,
not a real person.
Yeah, not a real person would not say this. Or the audience is not going to be attracted to this because of these facts.
Exactly.
Like, they just, does it work? Do you like it? Like, but they're not going to care about all of these other things. But it's like, unfortunately, they're dealing with the marketing agency versus the company and how they see. And so yeah, it's an interesting space. And even money wise, I think people just see it as like, oh, it can just be big money, and it not always is. Sometimes I think it just varies so extensively that you really, as a content creator, have to really stand by your rate because you may tell that rate and somebody may be like, that's too expensive. Exactly. Like, and you don't need to lower it. Like, that doesn't mean, oh my God, let me try and like, no, that's sorry, we don't got the money for that. And that's just how that goes. But I know even for me in the beginning, it used to freak me out. Like, be like, oh, I don't know what to say.
Let's talk about you, Andrea. So, Andrea, I was doing a little research and I was digging.
Okay.
Where are these 2 albums
that
you have?
Oh my goodness.
Because I could not find them.
I don't have them anywhere for anybody to hear.
You don't have them?
I mean, I have them.
Well, I need to hear this. 2 albums?
I have them for my own enjoyment.
2 albums. Tell me about that. I didn't even know you were a singer, first of all.
Well, I don't pursue music, so I don't typically mention singing. But I sing. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I sing, and I still get lots of chances to sing from an acting perspective. But I don't pursue music, and I think that's sometimes confusing for people because something about talent, people think it's in a box versus big. Versus big, right. And I always tell people, I'm like, I don't know anybody that only knows how to do one thing. Everybody I know knows how to do like 5 things. Like, like could really do them if they wanted. Like, and then like 10 more things that they can do on a medium level. You know what I mean? Like, that I'm like, and I think people don't wrap their head around that, especially acting or actors. The average actor is a triple threat. The average.
The average actor
one.
is a triple threat.
Or at least a double. Like, where I'm like, I always tell them, like, do I consider myself a dancer? No. But can I learn choreography? Yes. Like, but if none of this shit works out, will I be quitting and going on tour? Absolutely not. Because I'm not a dancer in that way. But anyway, yeah, I used to pursue music like for real. And when I was a little girl, like that was my real dream, was I was like, I'm going to be a singer. And when I was a teenager, I had a record deal in Canada and I put out my first album. And
she had a deal and
like,
everything. Yeah,
like I was really pursuing music. And then but music is hard.
Music is very difficult.
It is very difficult. It is very challenging. Being a woman in the music business is very challenging. Being a young woman in the music business is even more challenging. And I experienced a fair share of challenges that were dimming my confidence and light in music.
Okay, I can see that.
So really, the last album I made it in 2010, and it was out of frustration. It's truly one of my most creative things that I've ever done, but it was one of my frustration because I'd spent like the year in writing camps.
Was
like,
that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
And I just like
you didn't even know I knew the
like
name
it's like
of it.
but it was like, yeah, I'd spent the year in writing and just like studios and people and producers, and I had like all of these tracks, and I just didn't really know what to do, and this is kind of like a time when you can put out a mixtape very easily. At the same time, I had my website, Those Girls Are Wild, where Shannon and I were multifaceted. We did all the things we wanted to do on that space, and so I made this project, put it out via that, and just had like a really great time. And luckily, I was young enough that I had the energy and the fun and the naivete that like didn't really matter. But I had a really great time. And then basically where my pursuit changed was in kind of I always call it like my final hurrah, where I was working on my web series Black Actress. I still had all this music and all this stuff. And I went to the label and I said, I have this idea, like I'm going to be making this visual. Like I have this music, like let's just put it together. And they just gave me the hardest time. And it just was too, it just made me too sad. And I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like giving somebody the control over something that was given to me by God. I was like, this is my talent. This is my skill set.
Use it as I please.
Yeah, like why? Right. I don't need somebody to tell me when I can sing and not sing and how it's supposed to look and what you're supposed to do. And I don't need that. Especially, it just didn't feel right. And so for Black Actress, for my web series, I put all my music in it because we needed music. And I was like, I'm just going to put all my music in it. And it was truly more fulfilling for me to do that, to write a show, act in a show, and just as the soundtrack use all these songs that I just had and not worry about if somebody was downloading it, if somebody wasn't, if the numbers were big enough, if I was sexy enough for this person or not. Like I could care less. It was like, I'm in control of my shit finally. And then after that, I decided that I did not enjoy the pursuit of the music business enough. As a creative, I felt too stifled. And so, and then also too, since I was a kid, I found the reaction to music in particular, unlike acting, when you tell people you're an actor, people don't typically be like, hey, act for me right now. When it comes to singing or music, people immediately are like, sing for me right now.
Right now, let me hear it.
Right
what you got?
Now. Like you could be at a bar. They're like, I want to hear right now.
We
like
start doing that.
I can't even tell you. Like exactly. Give me. You got any monologues? Like just something. Like I can't tell you how many times I was somewhere, especially when I was young, and you just wouldn't know what to do. And some man would be like, "You sing? You just give me some right now." And you're like, "What the fuck?" Like we're in this what? Like it never made any sense. And sometimes you would feel those pressures. People would make you feel like if you don't do it, you're not a singer. You don't really want to do it. You don't got this. You don't got that. And you're like, this is actually literally not fun. Yeah. And so but I'm like, but luckily it's like I've done lots of musical theater. I get to sing. I did a movie for Nickelodeon that I got to sing in it. Like I did a whole television show I got to sing in Canada. Okay. Like so I always get opportunities to sing. Yeah. Or be musical. Even when I was a kid, it was like I did the Natalie Cole story. And even in that, like I had a whole scene where I got to like just be playing around on a piano. And so there's always somebody that uses my musicality to some extent.
So you play piano also?
Well, I do all the music stuff, but just I'm like, I'm not gonna be playing no piano for nobody. I can get the melodies right for myself.
Got a piano right there. You can go.
No, but you know what I mean? And so that's why I was like, I had to, as an adult, to start to think about like, what do I want this gift to be that it will be enjoyable. I had a few years where I was like depressed about it, and I would like literally not sing. And then finally I started to be like, no, it's like I'm gonna enjoy it and have a lot of fun with it and treat it like I did when I was a child, where I felt good knowing that I had this skill set that I have trained and done all the stuff for, like anything else.
Yeah.
But now I could care less about my music being out for somebody to download.
I definitely jumped right on the streaming sites.
I'm like, either you have it or you don't. And so I'm like,
see if I can pull it up.
Yeah,
I was just gonna have it playing.
I
in
swear,
the house.
I get like maybe like every week, every 2 weeks, somebody will be like, "Can you put this on?" And I don't even respond. Like, I literally don't even respond to the message. If they're like, "Can you upload it?" I'm like,
nope,
it's like
not doing it.
Yeah, because I could care less, and I just think the way our it's just not my pursuit. It's not my pursuit in any way, and so it's just like I feel very at peace with that. But I say it all the time. I'm like a big believer that like God will make a way for me to sing in a way that makes me happy.
I get that. I mean, I was the same way. So I started with doing music, and it's funny, like you say, people ask you to cover sing. Like with rapping, it was always like, oh, spit something right now.
Yeah, it's like right now.
Like,
I don't
let's
know
go.
why.
I'll battle you. Like, bro, I'm not.
Musical ability, they want you to do it on the
like
spot.
right now.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know why.
Like, you don't get back. Well, I guess maybe if you're at a court and you're a basketball player, they'd be like, "Oh, can you dunk?"
No,
you're
but
like,
it's like
that's more like
still.
kids thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're like, what? Like I
but
think
you get
it's
full blown adults like sing.
right now,
right,
right this moment. And it's the oddest thing. I guess it's the same as actors. When you say you're an actor, regardless of the person not recognizing you, they'd be like, "Have I seen you? Can you tell me just some of the stuff?"
What were you
And you're like, why? Why? There's never, like, I never meet somebody that's a teacher and I'd be like, give me a math problem really quick. Can you just break it down for me?
I don't know. I wonder is that, now that I think about it, because, dang, you might have just called me out, because I do, when I meet people that say, oh, yeah, I'm active. Like, oh, is there anything I might have seen you in?
People do it all the time.
Like, it's like almost instinctual. Like, have I seen you in anything?
I think it's because the arts and entertainment is still treated like this supernatural thing over here. And not like something that we all have, we all can do. We all could pursue it, just like the next person. But life told you not to. Nobody pulled that out of you, because there is still training involved. There's talent, but then there's training and then pursuit that happens that makes somebody very good, get to the next level, be an adult where they're doing it. Like, that's the difference. And I think something about it, though, people don't see it the same. Like, my mom works in a school, and so often she talks to me about like a teacher telling her like, oh, I wish that I did acting like your daughter did, or I wish that I like when I was a kid I wanted to do that and I just didn't. Like, and you're like, yeah, something about the entertainment space. That's why I think people ask to like see. Yeah, like
it's kind of like I'm in the presence of a superpower.
Yeah, there's something here.
Like if you met Superman, like, oh, I'll pick up this call.
Yeah, like exactly. You're like, something about what you do, no one else can do. So let me see it right now. And I think that's where it's interesting, because I'm like, yeah, I think the arts in general is like this mythical thing for people. They don't get it. They don't get why or how you do it.
Well, you also said, people, when you were younger, they told you they would tell someone like, no, you can't do that. Like, obviously you weren't told no. And
no, I wasn't.
You're one of the, I don't know a lot of like child actors, but you see on TV, you see online, like they're kind of they may have some issues, but you are seemingly super normal and nice. Like, maybe you're just putting that on.
I know exactly. This is an act. This is
maybe
me
this
acting.
is all you acting right now. But
give me a quick monologue. This is it.
Right.
I think my parents were lucky that they had enough ignorance to not know that they were supposed to be different to what they were doing, which was being normal. So my parents were more so excited about an interest.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the interest was, got attention.
Got it.
So I did karate, I played soccer, I did gymnastics. Like I said, where like music was just in general in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I started doing the flute, the guitar, the piano, like it could be any instrument.
Whatever you were interested
Whatever
in,
I was interested in, it was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so like singing, all of these things were treated in the same way. Well, okay, now we're gonna get some lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're gonna find how this thing really turns into something, and what does that look like? What does that pursuit look like? And so that energy was treated with everything that I did, and so I think that's why the child actor life was treated no different. The intensity. It's like my brother was really good at soccer. So we'd have like weekends that were dedicated to his tournaments.
Yeah.
My parents did the same amount of work that they would in terms of like taking time from work and all of that stuff as they would if I had a 2-day shoot of a commercial.
That was actually my next question.
It was the same.
When you just said your brother was an athlete. So I know having a son that's an athlete and getting ready to go off to college and everything to play, how much it took, like how much of my
to like
time
get there,
it took to like push him and like really like this is what you want to do. These are the steps that you have to go. And, like, trainings and weekend travel.
It's a commitment,
flights,
and that's essentially what the parents are teaching you, that it's a commitment. And whatever. So like my brother was a kid actor too, and then when he hit like 13, he didn't want to do it anymore. And it wasn't like this, like, no, you have to do it.
Like,
TV is the be all and end all. It wasn't like that at all. My mom was like, okay, well then what is it? Like. And I remembered like the focus was like, he was really good at drawing, but he also had interest in cars. He could cook. Like, all right, let's put the energy into these things then, so we could figure out which one is the thing. And it's like now he's a chef, and it was like, yeah, but since he was a little boy, it was like, oh, you like cooking? Okay, let's find ways to cook, like so that you can really do it. And I think that's what kind of helped me. So. It wasn't treated like this Andrea special. It was just like, I do this thing, but who doesn't do something? So especially in my school environment, I had kids in my school who they played hockey very seriously. And they had to be out of school for a certain amount of time, or like even being friends with Shannon, she was doing track in Canada for a really long time. Like, and that was the thing that she did. So I had other people around me that got a certain focus.
I can see her as a track runner, super long legs.
Yeah, like it was just like so. And then also too, I think I was lucky that like the same kids I was in elementary school with were also the same kids I went to high school with. So by the time I got to high school, and there's might be new kids here, everybody already knew me to be an actor. So it wasn't like this thing. The only experience I had really in high school when I first, like grade 9, grade 10, is I had a few teachers who just did not believe me when I like needed the work, because they need to give you the work because you're doing schoolwork on set. And so I had a few teachers that I was like, oh, I'm going to need like the next 2 weeks because I'm going to be away. And they were like,
no.
Yeah, like what? And I like literally had to have like the principal come in. I'm like, I think back on it. I'm like, if I was white, they would have believed me in 2 seconds. But mind you, but so I think that's where I was fortunate that my life was normalized. So it wasn't like you're this like almighty special person doing this thing that nobody else can do. It was just like, this is what you do, but that's what that person does, and that person, and that person. So I think that child actor element became like, it was very neutral for me. And then finally, maybe when I'd say maybe when I was like 17, 18 years old, it was now my pursuit. It was like, I wanted to do this. And my parents recognized that like I was really making the choice. I was making the choice from since I was a little kid, but I couldn't drive myself to an audition. Like, but finally it was like, no, this is really what I want to do. And so it's like by the time I hit 17, I remember telling my mom, like, I'm going to move to LA. And like, what does that look like for us? And so I started coming to LA when I was 17, and we just kind of got a lay of the land and like networking and figuring, what does this look like in the grand scheme of things? Even when I like graduated high school, but I was still on Degrassi, I had this hiatus, but I wasn't going to go to school. And it was simply because all the theater schools I was interested in, you could not have like really any days off. Like you couldn't like miss school for like 3 days.
Yeah. And
so
you were still working.
I was working, and I was really torn on this, like where I was like, I'm gonna go to this school to basically learn what I'm currently doing. And so my focus instead was more like, I'm just gonna work with coaches and just do it like that because I'm in the world. I'm doing what I plan on doing. And I think that that's what's allowed me to be quote unquote normal for a child actor is a lot of it was my choice, and my parents gave me this energy regardless of what I was doing. And I think a lot of child actors that I meet, the money is the focus, the fame is the focus, the like you're special is the focus, and like anybody else in life, the transition from child to adult is rough for all of us. Like, not everybody is a cute teen. Not everybody is a cute 20-something. Like, that transition from what people like of you when you're 9 is not the same as what they like of you when you're 19. And it's hard to navigate that on a public space or with people really telling you. Versus, when most people's glow up gets to be in private. They don't need to do that with everybody else. And so I think
pop out one day.
Yeah, like those are challenges for people to figure out. And so, yeah, I don't know. I do see a lot of, I have a few friends that it's like even their content, like the stuff that they make is always around like, woe is me, the child actor. And yes, some people really did unfortunately have a negative experience with certain things. That's very real because this is still an adult's business. But I don't know. I think I was just fortunate that like a few things I was just prepared for in life. One, I'm Black all the time. So I'm Black in the business all the time. And so any kind of racism or microaggression or anything that I faced, I was experiencing in real life too. Like, and so it's not like I was this crazy girl, like, why are they treating me like that? It's like, you Black. So this is what's happening. And so you learn to navigate those things. And I think, so I think I've gotten the chance to season myself in this space, which has allowed me to more so see my career, see my life as just like, I'm in it. This is it. This is what it looks like. It does not have, like, I am not just important only when I'm super successful. I am this all the time. And I think for a lot of child actors, it's really difficult to navigate the space of when it's a low period for you, of when you're not getting the same phone calls. You're not getting the agent's not putting you out there like that. Or just the difference between somebody that saw your headshot when you were 17 and now you've come in and you're 23. You don't look 17. And they're like, oh, wait, okay. Like, that happens to a lot of us. And I think it's more so just in, it's the people around you, and it's like what you tell yourself about your worth and your value. Yeah, that's what I think, because I analyze it a lot too, because I'm like, I think it was fine being a child actor. I like tell people put their kid in acting now. Like, you were great. Yeah, like, it's like, great. No, it was awesome. Yeah, like, put it in. Like, you'll learn how to talk to people. You learn work ethic. You get to do fun things. Like, I've had fun, crazy experiences. I did a commercial when I was a kid. I needed to like blow bubbles with gum. They bought me every kind of gum there was. I'm like, why would I have that experience? Like, this is amazing. Yeah, like as a kid. Right. It's like my dad was with me. He was like, this is wild. Like, it's just like, I've had lots of very good things happen. So I can't see it all as like negative. And I definitely can't see it as negative if now you're an adult who's managed to have a normal, successful life. And okay, maybe you're not a series regular right now or whatever, but that doesn't mean you're like life didn't work out. You're not losing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Absolutely. That's what I'm like, you're doing fine. Yeah, you're doing fine. I don't know. When did that shift to where like, okay, now I'm going to show people the Black actress? Okay, so I read an article when I was like 13 that said Drew Barrymore and Reese Witherspoon both own their own production companies. And a lot of their projects went through those production companies. And I just remember thinking, not only, both of them child actors, both of them were successful in Hollywood, both of them were white, and they felt the need to control their content. at a time when this was not like publicized like
It wasn't even a big thing. Like what year? I mean,
this is what I'm
Drew
saying. This is early.
Barrymore.
Okay, this is early on.
That's super early.
Like that I read this. I remember thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to do the same. Like that. I just did not ever feel like the randomness of auditions was the way into anything. And the business on a whole just seemed like the more ownership you have, the easier it is to navigate. And so I had done this film for Nickelodeon, and I came out of the filming experience doubtful of how much promotion I would get. And I'd already been on Degrassi as well, where I was often treated like just the black girl on Degrassi. And so I just kind of had a different perspective on the business in that way. I met with this manager who was kind of like, oh, you have this audience, you have all these things, you need to like put them in one place. And this is what really started my friend Shannon and I doing Those Girls Are Wild, was both of us had our own ideas of ourselves and what we wanted to do. And it was like, no one was really gonna give us that opportunity. And really it taught us both content creation, it taught us just overall like independence of like, what do you want to do? Because we were aggressive about it. It was our first like starting of YouTube. It was like 2008, 2009. And so YouTube is early. Nobody even knows what you're doing on it. Even like the moment we started to get an audience, I would send it to my agents. They literally were like, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't understand what you guys are doing.
I don't know. This
like,
means nothing to
yeah,
me.
like quite literally. Like they treated it like my college years. They always say that. They're like, those are your college years. That's when you were in college. And I was like, I'm not in college. I'm making YouTube.
I'm doing work right now.
Right now. Like, cause Shannon and I set a schedule, like a really intense content schedule. We would have like this, every Sunday we would talk for like 5 hours as friends and as content creators and make 5 days a week of content. Like really intense about it. And intense in, we were trying to figure out strategy. We were like two young girls trying to figure out like how do we get an audience and where are they and who would like it and why would they like it, and all of those things were happening. And so that was my early opening of like, okay, I can make stuff for me and get people to see me in a way that I was not being seen before. So in these spaces, I could focus on comedy, I could focus on storytelling. And before I was just at the mercy of, hopefully you got a black girl in this script that you're gonna give some real words to and a character. Like, hopefully they were gonna do something like that. And, you know, that was just a little too random. And so I'd always had this idea for Black actress. Didn't know when, just kind of thought, oh, I guess I'll do it when I'm like, I don't know, super famous or something. And then web series started to happen. So the YouTube space, web series, all started to happen.
Around what time frame is this?
This is like, again, 2009 to like 2012, something like that. That space, this like very magical space for content creators, and then especially Black people. Because a lot of Black people were really saying, I'm gonna make the thing nobody's making, that I think I look like as a Black person. It's like, it's almost like that concept of like, we're not a monolith was like really being heard, because you had Awkward Black Girl, you had Black and Sexy TV, you had like all these different people just trying their best to tell a story that no one else was telling us. And I went to this great event in New York. At the time, the relationship I was in as well, like he was a part of this event. So, and it was Issa and it was Numa and Dennis, and they were all talking basically about like not getting the green light from studios, from anybody else. This is why they went to the web. And I had always told him about this Black actress idea I had, and he was like, why don't you make it a web series? I was like, maybe, yeah, why not, you know? And it was in taking that leap that like really solidified for me that I was like a producer, because I really like, I learned like, yeah, this is the space I really like being in, also, like I said, from a little girl, I just didn't believe that I was going to get a fair opportunity if I left it to the others. Like, I just didn't think that. And the shift, I wish I could have filmed it from where I said I would send these YouTube videos and what we were doing, and they were like, I don't know, what is this? To, hey, can you cut this up into a reel for me? Hey, this person wants to meet with you because of this thing.
Because of this.
Hey, this agent is now more interested in you because... I was like, oh my God. I was like, I knew that. I knew that. But, and it's been still to this day, the thing that gets me most in the door is the fact that I make my own stuff. And so I just think that article that I read when I was little really just was the spark of that, because I still to this day love Reese Witherspoon. I just think she's the best. And to see her say that back then was like, of course. And then the crazy thing is, Reese Witherspoon last year sold her production company for $900 million.
Her production company was going crazy.
$900 million. Do you understand?
I mean, she had an HBO show.
Yeah,
right?
She had Little Fires Everywhere. Little Fires Everywhere. That's Big Little Lies.
They were both. No,
that's
Little Fires
HBO.
Everywhere was Hulu.
Yeah,
Big Little Lies was
on HBO.
Morning show. I don't know.
Yeah, the morning show.
Listen,
she's been working like crazy. But do you understand? If somebody's buying the company for $900 million, that means they believe that
it's worth
way more. Not sort of more.
No, way more.
I couldn't even wrap my head around. When I read that, I was like,
shout out to Reese. Congratulations.
$900 million somebody bought your company for. That's insane to me. And again, it's proof that it's like, yeah, it's about ownership. And
all about it.
That in this business, it's like the connections, yes, is always going to be something. The networking, 100%. The relationships, most definitely. But then also, it's about creation. Like, you just have to create and really create. Not like just say I'm creating, but like continuously create. And really, you're ultimately doing it for you, more so than praise in an audience. And I think that's the big thing that really helped me was it was like, I make these for me. I make these because my brain will go crazy if they don't get out. Like, they have to be in the world. So once you take off that pressure of like, it's got to go viral or it's got to this, it's got to that, it doesn't really matter because you're making something to be able to show that you make stuff in general. Because there's so many people that can't. There's so many people that can't just have that meeting and just be like, here's my demo reel or here's the kind of work I'm capable of doing.
Right.
Yeah, I really got to see that from an early age. And then I think, again, the naivete of being young and the aggression of being young, of being like, I just need to do, is what allowed me to not care and just do it. Because I'm like, now, I don't know, like, I'm like, Back then I could care less. So I was just like, I'm doing it. We're going to make stuff. And we really did. But it taught me on how to be a producer. So by the time I got to Black Actress, I really felt like, oh, I know how to make stuff. And I remember one of my friends coming to set, and she was like confused. She was like, who are all these people? Like, it was like a set.
Yeah,
and
full set,
and
full
she,
crew.
in her mind, I think just pictured me being like, all
Camera,
right,
yeah.
action.
Here we go, guys.
And she was like, what's going on? And I was like all my worlds are meeting. Like, I've grown up in television. Like, I've been making YouTube content. Like, now I'm finally in this place where this is the only way this is my production. This is what's going to happen. And I've just been lucky.
You had some big names in there too, like
in Black Actress.
Yeah,
no, we were lucky in the sense
for it to be the quote unquote little YouTube.
Yeah, no,
show.
we were really lucky. You know what was crazy is, so at the time, Issa was looking for content. Mm-hmm. So Issa was the first person we put it to. Because we were putting Black in the title, I didn't want people to compare it. I wanted them to just see it as like, we're all together. Mm-hmm. And so it was a perfect person to partner with. And then somebody I knew Tatiana Ali. She was the first interview we did. At the time, I couldn't make the interview. So they actually just interviewed her without me being there. Then just coincidentally, right after that, her and I ended up doing a movie together for BET.
Wow. Just out of the blue.
Yeah, this is just
Do you know
coincidence.
you were in my production?
And that's what I said to her. I was like, "You're the first interview," and she was like, "Oh my God,
You weren't even there.
Yeah. By the end of that shoot, Tatiana was so invested in the idea of Black actress that she like was like, I have to be a producer on it. Like, I just have to help you with this. And so a lot of the interviews were like that. Like somebody just knowing my story, knowing my excitement for telling the story of Black women in film, that they were like, you know who you should get? And they would call that person up.
Call that person.
And so it like really worked out in like a sisterhood way.
That's awesome.
And that's how I see Black actresses. So I was really excited that all of them treated it like, I'm gonna call. And it would be like after their interview with me, then they'd be like, I'm gonna get Vanessa, or I'm gonna get Essence, I'm gonna get this one. And so you're like, oh, this is amazing. And because I wanted them to also feel comfortable and to feel free to talk about their experience without thinking that I'm throwing them under the bus or it's just for my benefit. It's like, no, it's because I love Black actresses.
Yeah.
Like, I love Black women in this space and all the crazy that we've had to deal with. Super famous, just starting out. It doesn't matter. We all have these same stories of like hair and makeup, or somebody's not really paying any attention to you and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was just like, I had a real synchronicity moment of from the time I had the idea to getting Issa to partner with it, to the interview with Tatiana, to then just shooting a film with her coincidentally, to then getting it made. Just everything aligned. I was lucky.
See, I love that. Like, dudes, we don't do that. We be like, all right, bro, good looking. See you later. Hit me if you need something. Like, I ain't calling nobody for you, man. Like, and that's wrong. Like, I'll call anybody and tell anybody, like, yo, you need to link up with bro. Bro, do this, bro, do that. But like, and I don't know if it's necessarily, well, I guess it could be an ego thing, or is it more of just like, we just don't even think like that?
I think men don't naturally think that way.
Yeah, women,
unless they're already connected to them.
Unless we're already connected.
Like, I know like guys that are like if they're Greek or something like that, like they all went to the same HBCU, they're like naturally already connected. Yeah. So now they're gonna do it. But in terms of like, did they just meet a guy and think he's great, I'm gonna tell somebody else? Yeah.
And that's what I try. I do try to be that. Like, I meet somebody who's doing some stuff like, yeah, man, you should link up with my guy because he does this. I'm gonna link y'all on Instagram. I put y'all in a group chat. Whatever, something like that. And I think we need more of that in order to kind of, you understand. Like,
definitely. Well, that's the thing that business is that. It is like a web, right? Like, especially like filmmaking, like you just keep hiring the same people you like.
That's it. You find a crew and you stick with them.
You just keep sticking with them
going.
Until they, somebody messes up, you're not gonna work with them anymore. But if they do good work and you like working with them, even if they don't do great work, if you just like working with them, you're gonna be like, come on.
Right. And then you know their limits. You're like, all right, no, he can't do that.
But he can do.
But he can do this, right?
I mean, I know that well, and I'll still figure it out. And so but women, not all the time, but women, especially Black women, I find really do try to connect. And so I've been really lucky that like a lot of the things that have happened for me have been like a Black woman championing for me to somebody else. Just being like, I really like what she's doing, and so take this meeting with her. And where I'm like, I really do give a lot of kudos to Black women in this business that are open, because I do know people that have had not the same experience, but like that are open and supportive will be like, trust me, you need to talk to this one. They'll help you out. And it goes a long way, because otherwise I don't know how you do it.
Let's talk about, our project that we did. How did we even, let me run it back. We met
because of Samantha.
All right, I wanted to make sure it was because of Samantha.
Yeah,
because
and Super, which I still love. I still think about it.
I love Samantha. I call her all the time. Especially when I'm like looking for, hey, you want to write something?
Yes.
This idea.
But the idea that she had presented to us,
I still want to do it.
Still want to do it.
I still want to do it.
Because I still love it, still think it's great. I just remember at the time, we are both more seasoned than her in this space, where she was like, maybe we could do crowdfunding. And I remember both of us were like, no. We are not doing crowdfunding.
Yeah.
And that's an absolute no.
We both agreed on that
like, no, thank you. But it's still a project that I think about because I'm like, the world that she wanted to create, the characters, like, it was great. It just, you knew from reading it though, it needs like a budget. It needs a home.
But have you seen The Boys on
Yeah,
Amazon?
no, it's similar.
It's the same.
But The Boys is more evil.
It's more evil, but it's kind of in that world that she was trying to create.
Like superheroes and real people, yes.
Right, superheroes and real people mixed. The Boys is super evil.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yes, completely evil. But yes, it's the same idea, which is why I still think, there's room for it. But it just, only because my brain, anytime I pictured it, I just pictured it big. And I was like, it needs something big. Yeah. And so that means it needs a big production company, needs a big showrunner, needs a big producer involved.
We should circle back around.
We should.
We should
go
through those scripts and just kind of tighten them up.
Because it's good. It was good when she presented it to me.
Yeah.
I could see it.
It was good when she presented it to me.
Yeah, I was like, I can see this. I can totally see it. And I just knew though, I was like, it's not a quick web series budget.
It was not a quick web series, but it was great. Yeah. So we did meet. I couldn't remember I remember when Sam told me, about you, and then I went to look you up, and I was already following you on YouTube, and I was like, oh, okay. So that's why I'm thinking, like, did I find her on YouTube?
Yeah.
Was it Sam? But it was Sam. And then from there, you and I, we kind of started talking. We built a little relationship, and then I brought the idea of doing the series with you, like this kind of anthology with
yes.
And then you came up with your idea of
Laurel Ave.
Laurel Ave, which was really fun to do. And I think about that because obviously, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do whatever I can to support you on this.
Yeah.
And we just shot that over a weekend, and then we did a pickup.
Yeah, it was basically a weekend. Yeah, one pickup day. And then was it like 2 days or one? I remember.
I think it was just one pickup day.
Yeah, one pickup day. But did we shoot for 2 days or one day?
We shot for
2 days.
2 days.
Yes.
We shot at your apartment.
Yep.
We were at the pool. And then the second day, we shot one inside the house.
And one outside.
And then, was that all in the same day, though?
That's why I'm like, it might have all been
I think
the
we
same
might have
day.
did just a total of 2 days.
Yes.
I think we shot one day.
Yeah, like aggressive.
We shot an aggressive day. And then we did a light pickup day, which was really good.
Yeah.
But that's always super interesting because you took your
my now husband,
and just was like, hey, you're gonna act.
Well, he had given me one idea for it. And he'd never tried acting before, but I'm big on more so what I can see in my mind versus if you're like an actor. You
could see him.
And and I could just see him in it. And so for that reason, it was like, why not? Like it can't hurt. And I mean, he's dramatic as a human.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? If you're just say if you're a low budget filmmaker starting off and you're looking for actors and actresses, just
around you.
Cast someone as themselves.
Yes.
You
it's
know
not
what I mean?
hard,
like,
exactly.
I don't need another person. I don't need you to act like another person.
Just act like a version of you.
Be a version of you.
Yeah. And I mean, acting is that essentially all the time.
That's my tip for today.
Yeah. It's just like, I had this discussion once with a group of friends that I was like, the only difference that actors are doing to your average person is we are observing ourselves and honing in on our different range of emotions that the average person is not doing. But the average person is putting on the same amount of masks as everybody else. Like the same way you are at the gas station or at work or at the gym or with that family member. Like it's not all one version. And so, with him, it was like the way the script was, like it just was going to be a muted version that I was like, I think this could be fun to do. Also, everybody around him was an actor or a performer. Yeah. He is in the music business, mind you, so he totally understands performance.
I think that pushed him too, like having just like real actors around him.
Yeah, like you got to try.
Well, let me.
And it was fun and it was quick. It was like, and he knows us, so like it wasn't like, it was very interesting. It was interesting for him because after he did it, he was like, oh wow, like that's actually much harder than I thought, and all of those things. But then he also had, which I'm totally like this, like he didn't really want to see himself. Yep. Didn't really want to like all of this.
Did he ever eventually watch it?
I don't know if he has.
Oh my God.
But I'm like that. I don't like to watch myself, so I totally get that. Like that. But yeah, I thought it was a really interesting experience because it was like a hard task for you. You were doing multiple of those.
Yeah.
So
I took on a lot at that point.
Yeah.
Which was really, in total, it was supposed to be four things, and 2 of the 4 ended up coming out.
Yeah.
So 2 of them were shot and released.
Mm-hmm.
1 is on All Black right now.
That's the one with Tammy.
The one with Tammy
Yep.
Townsend.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other is yours is on redgrade.tv, which is mine. Go check it out. Free 14-day trial. I gotta get some more content up there.
I know that is what you took on that was hard. Is basically starting a streaming service.
And that's when I ended up having the conversation with Dennis. That we talked about
That's
earlier.
right. That's how that came together.
Dennis and Black and Sexy TV. I called him and actually I really just wanted information, and I'm not the kind of person that's gonna be like, "Hey, give me your information." I don't know you, so I was just like, "Hey, I can pay you something. Like, what do you want to talk to me for like 2 hours?"
Yeah.
So I just gave him a couple bucks to talk to him for a little bit. I respect people's time.
Yeah, that's nice.
So that was a hard one, but I still believe in it. I still want to do more on it. So
yeah.
So you get ready to do part 2.
Mind you, it's like it's one. It's incredible that you are capable of even creating it. Mm-hmm. But it is a big task.
It's a big task. You need a team.
You need a team.
And that's my problem. It's usually just me. Like, we sat here talking for an hour and a half because I was setting up lights, I was setting up cameras, I was setting up
What
everything.
do you think that is? Is it just because you know your capabilities and so you just start to move right away?
I think so. I think I've always had a thing of, all right, well, nobody's moving, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's actually not even partially, mostly how I got my name Champ. People started noticing that. Like, Mom, it's Champ. You just want to do everything, right? And that's kind of how it stuck. That's where it stuck.
Well, I guess the thing is then that space, because I know that space. Mm-hmm. And I realize it's a mix of knowing how to lead yourself properly. Because you gotta, sometimes you're the mover. Mm-hmm. But you also got to rally the troops.
And that's
otherwise you really can't get it done. Mm-hmm. And then, but I'm like, what I want to say is and I'm keep trying to think about it, like, it's the movement that will hopefully align you with the people that also are movers.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I gravitated to you so much. Because I feel like you were kind of like the same, but you knew how to like put people to places. Yeah. So I was just like, look, like, oh, what are you doing? Hey. Call you on FaceTime. Hey, what you got going on? I'm like, oh, okay. How'd you put that together? Like, I'm trying to like pick up that game from you.
I think, it's a delicate balance of knowing how to attract the right people to move forward. Because I used to have a time where I was the mover, so much so, but everybody I had around me was not necessarily. And so I was always frustrated because I felt like I was always bringing somebody on board, more so than having somebody like inspire a move.
And that was more what made me be secluded and like isolated.
Then I had to start to focus in on my skill set as a mover. Mm-hmm. Like, my skill set is in connecting with people, in ideas, and in finding the right people to get the stuff to move. Versus, like, I can't set up cameras. I'm not going to find the right equipment. Terrible at knowing what to do with sound. Like, that's where I'm not skilled. So I instead start to think about, well, who do I know that's really what they would do? And I think that's what helped to shift it for me, because, and not to be like, oh, these guys are like leeches, but I think you'll find a lot of people who will just kind of like hop on your back, because that's easy to do. Mm-hmm. But they might not be contributing anything. And you're like, wait, what's going on right now? Like, I actually don't need to do I don't need like endless brainstormers. Mm-hmm. I need somebody that knows someone. Like, do something. Yeah, like, do you know that person over there or not? Like, that's it. Or that's what the brainstorm is about, is that we both know a certain amount of people, who's the right ones, kind of thing. Like, and so I think that's what started to help me. And then honestly, just putting it out there that you need a certain partner. Yeah, like I used to think a lot, like I used to feel frustrated, like I wasn't meeting, and then it's like, no, I just gotta start to put it out there, like in the same way, like anytime I talk, like whenever somebody's looking for an assistant, they're like, they put it out to like everybody, I'm looking for an assistant, do you know an assistant, do you know somebody, da-da-da, and I used to find it kind of the same way, like especially like my beauty project, for instance, I kept saying like, I need a producer who can do the work that I can't, who gets the idea. Like, and no matter who I spoke to, that's all I spoke about. And so when I was even talking about the project, it was like, I've done everything I can. I now need someone else. And then eventually I aligned with the right person. So I kind of treat my projects the same way I would treat finding the movers versus the shakers. Is like, you just got to keep talking about it. But yes, naturally people who are like, I can make things go, I'll just like to be around each other, because you're like, it can get frustrating being around the others. But I learned early on that I was like, it's also best to focus in on your skill set, because I meet movers a lot, or at least I've met one recently who is a mover, but in a way that I actually think will create burnout, because they're focused on doing every single thing and not on the thing they're very good at.
You talking about me?
No.
Like on
and I'm like, but this is like literally somebody else.
I do only try to do the stuff that I'm good at.
Like, and so they think their skill set is in just that they keep moving. And in reality, they're more a frustrating person to deal with.
Oh, really?
Because you're like, that's not your skill over here. But yet you're trying to involve yourself in that. So it's almost like their moving ends up being a bit of micromanaging.
Got it.
And I have been big for years now on being like, I do not micromanage. Please show up with the skill set you have that I do not have. That's why we're aligning. And so, but I very recently met this mover who is a mover. They do make things happen. However, I'm also, when I am around them, I find myself like, what is going on? And that's because they are like involved in everything, regardless if that's what they know how to do.
See, I think that, and you know, me saying, are you talking about me? Because it's kind of like I am like that, but I am in no way, shape, form a micromanager. Like I am happy if you
go do it.
Can do something and take it off of my plate.
Me too.
I am excited.
I don't want to micromanage at all.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I'm looking at something you did, I may be like, hey, a little suggestion, but I'm not gonna. Other than that,
that's it. Go do it.
That's good. Like I just need somebody to do this. Can you do it?
Go do it, please.
Please do it.
I don't want to do it.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly how I feel. I had a scenario with a friend early on that caused us to be in a bit of a fallout or in a disagreement because, and this is why I say the difference in the different type of movers is what we'll call them. I knew my skill set was in the big picture. I could find us the location. I can find us the people. I can find all those things. I'm not going to touch the camera. I won't be picking up no lights. I'm not going to be moving them anywhere.
Not doing that.
None of that. And she thought I should have been. She is the type that regardless if she knows how to do it, she's going to just try because she thinks that looks like a better asset for everybody in the room. Like, okay, you know, everybody needs to move that couch. All right, I'm going to try and move the couch first. Instead of being like,
it doesn't help.
There's two strong men here. They can move that couch. There's somebody taller than you here. He can pick that thing up. Like, and we got into a really big disagreement over being in the space and being an asset in the space. And I really like dug my heels in the ground to be like, that is not my skill set. That is not where I shine and thrive. I don't need to. So I can more so delegate on who should do it if we're having a hard time in that. But I don't want to do it. It's not where I shine. It's not how something's going to get done. It's probably actually going to be worse because I'm going to waste the time because I'm not strong enough to pick it up. I don't know where it's really supposed to go. Like packing up all the equipment, I'm going to keep asking you where these things are supposed to go versus the person that knows where everything's supposed to go. And I started to realize that in life, I meet that kind of person all the time. Like I said, where they're doing everything.
Yeah.
And they think that that makes them look really valuable. And you're like, it doesn't. You need to bring in the people that know those spaces and know them well and focus in only on the thing you know how to do so well that people will now start to come to you to that. Obviously, you can expand yourself where you could say, I'd like to get a little better at that. I'd like to know a little bit more about this thing. But I also know my limits. And that is a skill set in itself, in knowing your limits.
You know, that also can work against you when you think that you being a part of everything or you doing everything makes you more valuable. It also can devalue you. And the reason I say that is because there are a lot of times that I had to kind of slow down because I do know how to do a lot of things. Like I learned a lot of things. I practiced a lot of things. But then, like, let's say if I'm dealing with a client and a client won't understand me not sending them like an itemized list of a budget because I
already know how to do all of that. Yeah.
But even so, if I'm like, all right, let's just say I'm going to direct and I'm going to DP, I am not going to get paid as one person. You're going to pay me as two people.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's different. That's what I mean. You're going to pay me for both jobs at that point. And if, you know, for example, like they may see that and then they're like, oh, well, it's just you.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm bringing you two skill sets.
Yeah, two skill sets.
3 skill sets, 4, whatever it may be.
Yes.
I can just very well say like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to direct and then I'm going to hire out all these other people. And then what do you say then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like it can also like be.
Yeah, that's why I think there is power in really knowing yourself and knowing, sure, there's a lot of things I can do, but then there's some things I cannot do and I don't want to have to do them. And just because I'm the kind of person that to get up and get things done doesn't mean you should be putting this onto me.
Exactly.
In any way. There are some things, sure, I'd like to pick up and get a little better at. But for the most part, no. I'm like very big on being like, where does your limit begin and end? Like, tell me now. Don't act like you're the person that's just everybody's gonna come to you for every single thing. It's like, that's impossible. This doesn't even make any sense. And so that's where I'm like 100% with you. It like really can devalue you, especially because it can devalue because it's also chaotic.
It's also chaotic, yes.
The person doesn't realize that they are presenting it very chaotic. Like, it doesn't look right. Like, just because maybe I know how to go into Canva real quick and throw up a graphic doesn't mean you should hire me as the graphic designer.
The right person.
Get a graphic designer where that's the only thing they know how to do, and don't rely and don't just be like, I guess I'll do it. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, and so I don't know. I just found the easier the business came for me is when I was able to like really be like, I don't do that. And I won't be. Sorry. Like I'm not going to try that at any point, especially in producing, because I'm like, if you let me work in the space that I'm good at, you will get the best of me. I am really good in this space. But if you are now relying on me to also be folding down those lights, when I tell you, you'll be disappointed.
It's not happening.
You will be disappointed. I say that like from jump. Anytime I'm on set with people that are new and I'm producing, I always tell people, I'm like, I don't pick up the equipment.
You know that right away. And you know, I mean,
like,
I would respect that because anytime somebody is like, oh, what can I help with? Like, I feel bad being like, nothing. Get your ass over there and sit down.
Yeah, you can actually help by getting out of the way.
Yeah, get out of the way. But that's really what it is. Like, you're helping me by doing nothing. Like, just stay away from me so I can make sure everything gets back where it needs to go. I am
big on that, especially if you are in an on-set environment on a regular basis. It is a team. It's a team for a reason. And not everybody on the team is every position.
Absolutely.
So do not try to be every position. Please.
Absolutely.
Nobody likes that. We don't want to see it.
You don't want to see it. And I put that in, like, I actually just did a video recently, just kind of, you know, the death of the one-man band, because, like, that's what I'm, like, really trying to get away from.
Yes.
Like, it was, you know, it's a hustling thing. Like, I had to do it and blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
But, like,
It's got to get you to a certain point.
It's got to get you to a certain point, and you're not giving the best of yourself at that point.
At all. And then I find what also happens is you start to crave a little bit praise for these things that you did that are not even your real skill set that you think are good enough. Like now you actually do want them to notice your edit.
Exactly.
And you're like,
like, did you see what I did?
The edit was kind of good though.
Saw that on your phone?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, was it not? Was it not good?
Like, come on,
and
man.
it's like, wait, that's not even what you actually do. Like, sure, it was cool. But like, we should bring in an editor. Like, or why are you doing this bit if you really don't need to do this bit? You know, it's just I don't know. I'm big on that. I get what you're saying. It's like death to the one-man band, death to the chicken with their head cut off.
Yep.
Like, you don't need to be that person.
Bull in the china shop,
Like,
kill them all.
yes, you absolutely do not. And so I can always tell when I meet somebody who's operating in that space and thinking that that's where their value is, and they are always the person also complaining about how tired they are. And I'm like, I'm never tired on set. I'm always happy because I'm focused in on the thing I like to do. And I'm really good at that thing.
Yeah.
And so, and sure, there's certain things I want to get better at, but even that, it's like one and two things.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to know everything here. And yeah, that's why I'm like, it's really a delicate balance between moving and shaking and knowing when there's an idea that I can probably produce myself, and then also knowing when there's an idea that no, I need now, the leadership needs to go into finding the others to add to this thing.
Right.
Now. Like, okay, I've done all I can. I brought it to this space. Amazing. Now who does it need?
Now who's next?
Like, okay. And as a mover, my next task is in building out the team versus like, well, I guess I could keep moving. I guess I could do this. I guess I could do that. It's like, yeah, but is it going to be the best use of your time? Is it really going to move the way you want it to? Is it going to get to where it needs to? Like, you could actually do more by putting that same energy into now just finding the players to be involved.
Right.
Versus thinking, let me just add another instrument to my back.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, with you putting things together, let's talk about your beauty documentary.
Oh my goodness.
That was actually, when you told me you were going to do this beauty documentary, I was like, that is a really good idea. Like with the way everything is going and like all these black beauty influencers and, you know, the things with like TikTok and people saying how, you know, the black people who make everything for TikTok and then it's taken away.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then everybody boycotting TikTok and moving somewhere else. And like, I'm like, this is gonna be a good story.
Yeah, you know, so I love beauty in general. I love black beauty. Had the thought for years, like even talking about moving, had the thought for years, always trying to find a way to do it. And really couldn't, because I was always just trying to kind of do it by myself. Or involving people who were not movers, and so then you're basically still doing it by yourself.
Stuck.
But at the same time, I kept constantly getting to like observe the world. I get to observe YouTube beauty influencers and social media ones. I get to be on set and observe how black actresses are treated, or I get to just observe beauty editors. Like, was just so involved in the world that it would frustrate me because I was like, I just need to do this story. And so I got it to the point that I could, in the sense of I carved out my general idea. I connected with as many people as I could, just telling them my frustration of like, I'm trying to move this. Is it moving? And they would give me advice. Oh, do a deck, do a sizzle, and so I just kept doing all the little bits. Finally got to the right producer, CJ Faison. He has a production company, Face Forward Productions. And him and I were meeting about something completely different. But how I believe everything happens is you just got to keep talking about stuff. Told him, I got this big baby. Do you mind taking a look? Just to see if he'd give me some advice. Not even like take it on, just advice.
Yeah. Just talk about it. And
he loved it. And he just understood the magnitude of the world. And he's a mover. And him and I were we were always in sync. We're still in sync. And very much seen it morph and change. It has been redeveloped. When I first started, it was a 90-minute feature. Now it's a 3-part doc series because the world is so big. And luckily, CJ is also very good at bringing on the people. And so the combination of the two of us has gotten it to where it's at. And so now it's coming out in the fall, 3-part docuseries called The Black Beauty Effect on Comcast Xfinity. And I'm very excited about it. It's going to cover skin, hair, and makeup from the perspective of game changers and the influence of Black beauty in the world of beauty on a whole. So it's like we speak with influencers, beauty editors, celebrity makeup artists and hairstylists, like just anybody that's been involved in Black beauty and seen how it's had to move forward is in the project. And it's been a real blessing because it's been a project that I have been working on for a million years, but loved it every time, never gave up on it. And so to see it now, where it's being treated with like a whole team of people and like thinking about like how we're gonna market it and what we're gonna do. And it like, I cry all the time. Like we went to ABFF and had this big panel. Afterwards, I was like in hysterics, like real tears crying all the time because I just love it. And so I'm very excited.
Your baby coming,
coming
to fruition.
I love it. I love Black girls. I love Black beauty. So yeah.
Love it. So the big thing that I'm taking away from this is, as a mover, in order to move forward, you need to find people.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
You can't be a mover by yourself.
You absolutely cannot. And you can't have too much pride in asking for help. You have to.
Oh, that's a big one, man. Say that again.
Yeah, listen, like you really can't. You have to know.
I do not ask people for help.
And you really do have to ask for help.
I'm horrible. I know it.
You just have to ask for some advice most of the time.
I do that. Okay. Well,
and that's asking for help in the sense of like the advice of like, what does this need? Like, hey, I've got this thing here. Well, what do you think it needs? Like, do you like it? Does it make sense to you? Is it interesting? And take everything with a grain of salt. Sometimes somebody's going to say something to you, you're going to be like, bullshit, no thank you. And other times somebody's going to say something to you, you're going to be like, yeah, you're right. And just like, I don't know, I always think about this business in a whole as like Issa said it perfectly, like network across, right? But it's more than just like network across. It's like network across and then take 2 steps up. And then across again, 2 steps up, across again, and you just got to keep doing that the whole time. And that is asking for help, because in your world, in your space, you're definitely going to know somebody that's going to be able to give you some perspective on what you're doing. They're going to tell you you're crazy, or they're going to tell you I love this. However, maybe you should hire that person. Maybe you should connect with this one. Have you ever thought about X, Y, and Z? And those things are going to inspire you to open up your idea, to make it blossom, to like make it really work. Because any story you hear, any movie, anything, like it's like, even though I went to a screening last night and it was for a show, and the creators said they've been working on it for 6 years. Wow. Like, yeah. It's like, of course you've been working on it for 6 years. And like the chairman of the network basically said how he got involved was he saw a sizzle. So it's like, I'm sure by the time they got to that sizzle, they'd already had a script, or they already had an idea. And by the time they got to the sizzles, because somebody's like, I don't get it. Like,
so now I have to show you.
Yeah, like, so now I got to show you. But mind you, it's like all these steps of all these people that you got to talk to get to these places. And I knew that even like any project I've ever done has been like that. Sometimes you're lucky where you tell somebody just a log line and they get it immediately. But most of the time, most people are like, can you explain it further? What do you mean? Why don't you try? Why don't you this? What do you that? But all of that is really good because it helps you to narrow your stuff down further and further and further and further and further to it's just to the point where now when I say it to somebody and all I need is one reaction, like, that sounds dope. That's all you're looking for. Until you get it to that, though, you need to keep asking for help. Because if it's like, I don't quite get what you're doing. Like, I remember the days, especially my Black Beauty one, where I would say it to Black women who did not get it. They were like, and what about it? Like, why? Like, why? And you're like, why? Like, what do you mean, why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why not? Or like, what do you mean? And that's when I realized, okay, I got to carve it out more. I've got to like get the story more solid if somebody's not understanding, though they are the demo, they're not understanding why I'm doing it. But yeah, I definitely think just talking about your ideas constantly, asking people their thoughts on it, asking people what they would do, or telling them, honestly, I'm stuck. I need a little bit of help with this. I'm tired. I don't have the time. You will be surprised how naturally somebody would suggest someone to you. Oh, this person knows that stuff. They got some free time. They might do that for you. And that to me is the networking of the business. Is like the connection of like, okay, this one led me to this one and this one. Even I was saying to you earlier, like talking about the director Pete Chapman in his book Transitions. I met Pete Chapman in 2014 because I had met with a publicist who just said, I think you should meet this filmmaker who also makes content. That was it. Like there was no other reason for our meeting other than just like, you guys may connect on something. Oh, okay, cool. So then I meet with them and then it's like, now you just know this person in the business. It may work out into a partnership, it may not, but it doesn't matter because like that's how your web starts to grow within this space. And so now if say I have an idea and he's a producer, he's a director, I can easily go to him and be like, hey, can you just give me some advice? Can you give me your pointers? Can you just, and that's how I've been able to do anything. But I do find it's like, it takes the vulnerability of knowing that you should ask. Just ask. Just ask. Ask for something. I think like you said, what you did with like speaking with Dennis and Black and Sexy, like those are the things that you have to do to move forward. Otherwise, you'll be kicking yourself and overanalyzing about yourself and your skills. And sometimes that's not it. Sometimes it's more so just like, okay, I don't got the right amount of people around me. I don't got the right team. I don't have anybody I can lead. And I'm a really great leader. Like, that's just really it.
Love it. Picking up gems after gems. So lastly, Andrea, I want to talk to you about your new movie. The movie that you starred in called The Threesome.
Yes.
What a good movie. You invited us to the screening. My wife and I, we came down and immediately like you stopped us at the door like, hey, wait, how y'all doing? Thank you for coming. Want you to know this is very adult. And we walked out of there. We were like, we walked away from you to go get a seat. We're like, oh, okay, it's fine. Like, she's probably just whatever.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Andrew's so nice. Like, she's probably just shy. Like, she probably just kissed somebody on screen. It's like, this is super adult, guys. And no, it was real. We got in there.
Very adult.
And it was real. And like I was talking to you about it earlier, is even though it was real, and I'm not one that like does like a lot of like sex scenes or even really cares to see them on TV as much, when it got to the point where the title was there and it was a threesome, it was so fun that it didn't feel like
as uncomfortable.
It didn't feel uncomfortable.
Good.
It didn't even feel like it was like a sex scene or anything. Like you played that character so well throughout the entire piece.
Good.
That it was like, at some point this is gonna happen. And like I know it's coming, but this is great. This is a great moment that I'm living through right here. Like I am enjoying this journey. And then it was like, at the end, it was so funny.
I'm glad.
Like you did a great job. First of all, I just got to give you good.
Thank you.
Like so much praise for that. And then shout out to the director, and his name was
Jamal Dadoe.
Yeah. Shout out to him because he wrote a great film.
Yeah.
Like tell me about that process. Like how was it? Like even just from the start, like agents like, hey.
Yeah. Well, my agent sent me the script and I read it, and it's funny, two things happened. I just assumed for some reason it was a self-tape. I don't know why. I have like a million self-tapes. So I don't even, and the emails all look the same. So I don't even read the emails a lot of the time. I just look at the due date. Like that's my only focus. Right. I got the script. My agent said, take a read. They said it does have nudity, but take a read, tell us what you think. I love when I get a full script as well and not just like some scenes or something like that. Yeah. And it really did make me laugh. And I really could picture Stacy, the lead character. I just could picture. I was like, I got girlfriends like this. I just knew the space that she was in, honestly. And then also at the same time, I was praying for number one on the call sheet, like just praying for it. I just really want people to know that like I can handle the workload of the number one on the call sheet.
It's big time. Get the number one.
So like I just kept like that specifically. I just kept saying that. Anyway, read the script. For some reason, like I said, I just assumed I was supposed to do a self-tape. So we just did one. Called my friend Allison. She read with me. And I don't know why she said this. She was like, is this not just like a Zoom thing? And I was like, no, I think it's a tape. Anyway, did the tape, sent it in, off with my day. My agent's like, Andrew, where are you? And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you're supposed to be on Zoom. And I was like, what? I don't know why. I don't know why I did not read this email properly. I don't know what was on my mind. I don't know what. Anyway, I was supposed to be on Zoom. So I was like, oh, I can go right now. And so I hop on and I was like, sorry, guys. And I think this is what helped because I was like, I'm so sorry. I, for some reason, did 3 scenes and put them on tape and sent them in. I don't know what I did that for because I obviously didn't need to. We were just going to be having a Zoom. And so
they were
then,
like, oh, she's locked in.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what that was. So then anyway, but it was good because in it, getting to do a Zoom, I got to talk to the director and talk to him really about like what was the goal here. Like, what do you actually see? Because yes, the script is the film is called The Threesome. It's basically about a threesome gone wrong. From the perspective mainly of my character, Stacy, who is a bit of a prude who's trying to come out of her comfort zone. But it was, it was very funny script, but it was also really like raunchy and wild. So when you're reading it, you're like,
whoa,
what is going to happen here? Anyway, so that's kind of where it went. And he was like, we're open. Like, it's collaborative. It's not like you have to do this thing. And so I was like, okay, cool. Did that. Didn't hear from them for maybe a few weeks. And so you just kind of move on. And then next thing I know, my agent sent me an email and was like, the director wants your phone number. I'm going to send his number to you. And he called me and he was like, look, the part's been yours. It's yours for the taking, and this is my goal. This is what I want to do. And he just seemed so down that I was like, I can do this, even though it was very much out of my comfort zone and risque in that way. And my agents were just like, as long as it's tasteful and as long as, we can still use it on brand. But like I said, I just kept looking at it as like this sign. It was like, it was number one. And I asked for number one. I just kept asking for number one and it was number one. So, and it was funny. And like I am a funny human, but I always want people to know that I'm like a funny actress. And because it's a very different position. And so I felt like, okay, I'm going to get the opportunity. And then like the director, he was really great because no, I was not a producer on this project, but he treated me like one. He like really kept me involved every part of the casting, everything that they were going to do. It's like he called to tell me. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I really feel very involved in for a project that was such a roller coaster in the sense of like, it's raunchy, it's funny, it's like, it's very black, it's like all these things. You want to have the comfortability and the looseness required for it. And I think not only was I comfortable on set, but I was very comfortable because I trusted the director and the team. Like, just trusted their vision. That it was like, regardless of how this comes out, I know that their intent is good and something good will happen. And so, yeah, it was like this really tight, fun shoot in LA, in Leimert Park. And I was honestly really glad to play Stacy. And so by the time we've gotten to like this end bit now, I've only really watched the film once, only when I was doing ADR. And that was it.
Did you watch it the last screening?
No, I never watched it. I never watch it at the screenings. I'm there. I'm there in
Are
presence.
you watching when I'm at the screenings of things that I do? I watch the crowd.
Well, some people do, I don't mind hearing so when we premiered at ABFF, American Black Film Festival, I came towards the very end. And so to hear the laughter, I was like, oh, wow, like people really think it's funny. Because kind of like what Jamal, the director, said at the screening, Black audiences can be very conservative. So I at least was really unsure what the reaction would be. Are they going to come out of it and think it's funny? Or are they going to come out of it and be like, oh, like, what?
No,
What's going on? Yeah, why would you do this project? Like, I remember this actress that I knew that did a scene in a film, and she had like this really crazy, wild sex scene that she was fully naked. And I remember looking at it and thinking, huh? Like, why did she do this? Like, what's going on? And I was like, I don't want anybody to do that with me. I don't want them to be like, pardon?
Pardon? Excuse me.
What? Where are we going with this?
Clutch his pearls.
Yeah, like I want them to know it's comedic. It's supposed to be funny. And so far the project has been received that way, which I'm really glad about. And it's going to Martha's Vineyard next, which is a little different audience to American Black Film Festival or even to our Los Angeles audience. So we'll see. But so far, people have been really receptive. They think it's really funny, and the nudity, the sex scene has been so funny for them that it isn't like this everybody stare at your body moment. It's more so like, oh, this crazy thing is happening between these three people in the strangest and most awkward way possible. So it's been good.
I think it will. When you're saying like Martha's Vineyard is a different, demo than ABFF. I think that the story is something, because I think I could probably say this confidently. Maybe most people have not had a threesome.
Oh yeah,
it's like, I think we can say that pretty confidently. Most people have not had a threesome, so it's almost like.
Or they have, and we don't know.
Or they have, you don't know. But you can put yourself in those shoes and be like, yeah, this probably would be awkward. And then you're like walking through with Stacy, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Are they? Did they? Wait.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get it. You know what I mean? Like little stuff, like the little things that you were doing. Like, I think that makes it relatable to a lot of audiences. And that's what makes it really funny.
Yeah, I think that's what was, and that's how I saw Stacy when I read her. Was I was like, she's the everyday woman. She's the everyday person who's just kind of like in this thing and trying their best and wants to prove something to themselves. So I'm like, Stacy does it for her.
And that's mostly what it's about. It's about Stacy doing it for herself.
Yeah.
She just had to prove something
versus like, and I think that's why I enjoyed it. Was for that reason, that I was like, Stacy is like my girlfriends. Like I have a few friends that quite literally, they were my character inspiration the whole time. I was like, they would for sure be this. They would be like, okay, what is happening? Why do I have to do this? And I was like, it's funny because I was saying to my mom, it's like, in order to play Stacy, you actually can't be like Stacy. You have to be a wilder human because it's like a lot. But at the same time, you just have to be able to relate and understand her perspective on the world. And the script was good, where after the LA screening, a few people asked me if there was any improv, and I'm like, no. Like the whole thing
was all scripted.
Was just like to the script.
That's awesome.
The only thing Jamal had ever said was, say it in your voice. You don't got to put on a voice. You don't got to act like it's got to be, just say it in how you would say it. And for the most part, I pretty much stuck to all of the words. There was like only one very slight moment where Stacy, in the script, it was like she was supposed to like take a spliff and like light it. And I was like, I don't think she would. I was like, I just don't think she knows how. I don't think she smokes weed that often.
That's
like,
I can see that.
That she's just kind of like, okay, sure. Versus like, I think she's a wine girl. Like that's, and those are like tiny things. But other than that, Yeah, so it was a really good experience for me. I like had a lot of fun doing it, and we did a good chunk of night shoots, and I had like one trick. Like by the time I would come into set, I just would get a black coffee and sip it very slowly the whole night, and it would keep me awake.
One strong
Yeah,
black coffee.
I was like, and I would just like be only mine. I'd like put it in a corner, and I'd be like, off I go.
Nice.
But yeah, it was overall a really good experience. And so the way it's come out, the reception that it's getting is good for me, but it's even better for me for the director because I knew that he was betting on himself.
Yeah. No, he did his thing.
Yeah.
Congrats to him. And kudos. You did your thing, Jamal.
Yeah.
And kudos to you. You did your thing. Like, I always think about that, like, the brand of a person. And, like, at the end of that, I felt like you just amplified your brand. Like, I don't think it changed anything. Like, I don't think it went in a negative way. Like, it was just like, yo, Andrea is crazy. Like, that was dope as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good.
So, like, and I know, like, people worry about that.
They
Actors
do,
worry about that, like,
right? Because people will pigeonhole you or change on you or just any of those things, or even like especially kid actor thing. I remember when I was growing up, there was like rumors of like you couldn't even do as a kid, like say you did, I don't know, some kind of like CSI or something. There was like cursing in it. That now like Disney wouldn't want you.
They don't want you anymore.
Like that would be like, oh, they've cursed on TV one time. Okay.
Done.
Yeah. Like, and those things are kind of hard to lose as an adult. To like to be like, it is okay. I am a person. I'm allowed to do a variety of stuff. I'm an actor. Like I had to think about all these actresses that I'm like that have been nude and been fine.
Been fine.
It's been just fine.
It's been okay.
Yeah, it's been okay. Nothing bad has happened.
Yeah.
Like they weren't blacklisted. And so yeah, it was it's something that I'm very excited for people to see because I really do think it's funny and I really do think Black audiences especially will like really like it and really enjoy the ride of the film and relate to Stacey. So
yeah. Well, I could keep talking to
That's
you forever,
okay.
for sure. You already know we have epic FaceTime conversations for hours. But the family does want to come back into the common area. So much continued success.
Thank you.
I can't wait till we work on another project.
I know.
Again.
No, but it's going to be super. We just decided.
It will be super.
Yeah.
We just decided.
Let's figure that out.
If you're looking to invest in a really good project.
Yeah. Like we're going to
have one called
We're going to figure that out. Exactly.
No, we definitely
the next pod will be actually on set. That's
there it
how
is.
we'll do.
Calling it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming and being out here.
Easy peasy.
I love you so much, and I love Felix, and I wish you had came. I would have made you guys food, but we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.